We've got Katie Pavlich, editor at townhall.com and a Fox News contributor. We've got Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor and a Fox News contributor. Kids, I was going to ask you, I want to get to Sean Hannity and former President Trump. But Katie, listening to those Ivy League presidents was stomach-turning and pathetic. That's what I think. I mean, how the hell do they still have their jobs? Awful.
It's horrible. And I think what was very clear today by the Republicans asking these questions is that these administrators and the faculty that they oversee don't live up to their own standards of conduct and discrimination. I've been on dozens of college campuses where I've been protested, and there are safe spaces for all kinds of groups. But when it comes to what we're seeing now with these pro-Hamas, pro-violence against Jewish students, somehow the safe spaces for Jewish students who are really actually under threat and mobbed into cafeterias and told to hide in attics, there doesn't seem to be any room for them in the handbook of non-discrimination at these universities.
Incredible. Wasn't Charlie Hurt, I mean, if I remember a couple of weeks ago, the head of MIT, for God's sakes, how many government contracts do they have? Head of MIT wouldn't let the Jewish kids in the front door of the university because it was going to cause trouble? Really? I mean, this is worse than the civil rights movement years ago.
Yeah, no, it's utterly, totally, completely indefensible. And, sadly, we've known for a long time that these colleges and universities were peddling poison. I had no idea it was just this bad. And it was so bad that you actually have university presidents who are defended. It's like they don't actually see how disgusting this stuff is. But the second thing, Larry, that is really depressing about all this is that it's a poison that is leached into our politics, or maybe it comes from our politics. But the only people who are lighting these people up are Republicans, and this should be it's a pretty low bar, but condemning calls for genocide ought to be sort of a bipartisan issue in our country, and up until yesterday, it was.
Elise Stefanik is exactly right. This should be the easiest question for them to answer. The easiest question they'll ever be faced as a college president. But no, you're right. They have to parse through Lord knows what. Katie, with the great Sean Hannity and former President Trump, I mean, they ought to talk about that. Trump ought to talk about that. This anti-Semitism thing. Because it's clear to me the tide has turned, okay? The country is in favor of Israel, but the country is opposed to this horrible, hate-filled anti-Semitism. And I think Trump would be wise to put that on his agenda. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the country, for the most part, the majority of the country is opposed to terrorism, especially when it comes to Islamic terrorism that we've seen in a number of these communities, in Michigan in particular, people coming out in favor of what happened on October 7th, which was one of the worst terrorist attacks we've seen, and certainly the worst terrorist attack that Israel has ever seen in its history since being founded as a country in 1948. And so the president should absolutely talk about that. He should talk about how Joe Biden is actually trying to waver on this issue for the sake of those people in his party's base who want him to pull away from the morality of backing Israel and anti-terrorism and the national security implications that would have for the United States of America.
Yeah, we have an Islamophobia interagency group in the White House, Charlie, but we don't have an anti-Semitism interagency group in the White House. I mean, I was going to say how Trump needs to stay on his economic growth message because a lot of experts are talking recession, and I've got two experts sitting up here right on set. But polls are showing recession. But this thing, report from Hillary Vaughn, who's a fabulous reporter, watching these people, I'm just burned up. I'm sorry, I'm just burned up by it. I mean, I suppose I'm losing my cool. But how can these overeducated Ivy League college presidents not give a simple yes or no answer to hate crimes and anti-Semitism and related matters? Give you the last word, Charlie.
And think of all the ways these huge universities are protected and enriched by the government, by the federal government.
Absolutely.
And there's never been a politician who who could get in there and actually make an issue out of something like this. And I agree with you. I wish Donald Trump would. He should absolutely light up these universities and come up with real plans to target, because, you know, whether it's student loans, all the ways that these universities benefit from the largesse of taxpayers and are protected in ways that regular corporations and nonprofits aren't protected.
These places,
I think that a guy like Donald Trump could actually make a huge issue out of this.
He can just tell them we're going to cut off your money. These schools are on the government dole, big time. That's the dirty little secret
Larry,
of this whole
one more thing, real quickly.
Real quick, Katie.
These schools are also getting foreign money, especially from places like Qatar, who are harboring Hamas leaders and terrorists. So the president could also address that issue, in addition to the Iranian issue, where we're getting attacked dozens of times without any response.
Yes, ma'am. You're right. You guys are
We're paying them to attack us.
Yeah, it's a terrific trade. Katie
Yeah,
Pavlich
we are.
and Charlie Hurt. Please come back soon. We miss both of you.